the prosperous merchant. In the vibrant kingdom of Azania, where the earth was rich and fertile and the markets brimmed with the hustle of trade, there lay a sense of community and prosperity under the warm African sun. The land was a tapestry of lush landscapes, with rolling hills dotted with baobab and acacia trees, and rivers that meandered gently through the savannas. Among the most respected figures in Azania was Jabari, a merchant whose renown for wisdom and fairness surpassed the borders of the kingdom. He had inherited a modest trading business from his father, which he transformed into a flourishing enterprise. Jabari traded in spices, textiles, and precious stones, and his caravans traveled across distant lands, bringing wealth and exotic goods back to Azania. Jabari was a tall man, his skin the color of polished mahogany, and his presence commanded respect. His eyes, thoughtful and keen, missed little, which made him an excellent trader and a shrewd businessman. Despite his wealth and status, Jabari was known for his humility and his kindness towards the less fortunate, often seen negotiating fair prices with local farmers or advising young traders on the intricacies of commerce. His wife, Laila, was a beauty admired not just for her looks but for her vivacious spirit and intelligence. She ran a center for arts and crafts in Azania, where she taught women and children to weave, paint, and create jewelry, empowering them to support themselves. Laila's laughter was like music, and her generosity knew no bounds. She was beloved by all, her grace and warmth drawing people to her. However, beneath the surface of this seemingly perfect union, whispers began to stir with the winds that swept through the marketplace. During Jabari's long business trips, which sometimes kept him away from home for months, rumors started to circulate about Laila's fidelity. It was said that she entertained a mysterious visitor, a man whose presence in her home was becoming more frequent with each passing day. These whispers eventually reached Jabari, delivered in hushed tones by a close friend during a cool evening as they shared a pot of sweetened tea. Jabari's heart grew heavy with each word, a mixture of disbelief and aching spreading through him. He could not reconcile the image of his devoted Laila with the rumors that painted her in such a different light. Tormented by uncertainty, Jabari decided he needed to discover the truth for himself. His next trip was due in a few weeks, and it provided the perfect cover for his intentions. He announced his travel plans to Laila, who kissed him goodbye with no hint of deceit in her eyes. But instead of departing with his caravan at dawn, Jabari stayed behind, hidden within the confines of a friend's house that overlooked his own. From this secret vantage point, Jabari watched and waited, hoping both to confirm his wife's loyalty and to quash the painful seeds of doubt that had taken root in his heart. As the sun rose and set over Azania, marking the beginning of his covert vigil, Jabari's eyes remained fixed on the path that led to his home, watching for the visitor that rumor had so vividly painted into his life, the seeds of doubt. As the vibrant colors of dawn painted the sky above Azania, Jabari set his plan into motion, his heart heavy with the burden of doubt. His decision to secretly observe Laila from a hidden location was one born out of desperation, a last attempt to quell the whispers that gnawed at his peace. Meanwhile, Laila, unaware of the clandestine watch her husband had set upon her, continued her daily routine with the grace and warmth that had made her a beloved figure in the community. Her days were filled with laughter and chatter as she interacted with the women and children who came to her art center. Laila's genuine interest in their lives and her efforts to empower them often extended beyond the confines of art, as she offered support and advice on personal matters as well. However, Laila's vibrant demeanor masked a deep loneliness, an aching void that grew with each trip Jabari took. With her husband away for months at a time, the sprawling house echoed with silence, and she often found herself longing for his company. To combat this solitude, Laila would invite friends and relatives to stay, their presence bringing temporary relief but also fueling the rumors that had begun to circulate in the marketplace. Among her frequent visitors was Kofi, a cousin from her mother's side, who had recently arrived in Azania. Kofi, a scholar who studied the rich histories and cultures of African kingdoms, sought refuge in Jabari and Laila's home while he conducted his research. His presence at the house became more noticeable, and his deep conversations with Laila about art and history were often misinterpreted by passing onlookers. Jabari, from his hidden vantage point, felt a sting in his heart each time he saw Kofi enter his home. The sight of them laughing together or deep in conversation twisted the knife of doubt deeper. Jabari's trust in Laila, once unshakable, now trembled like a leaf in the wind. Every smile she shared with Kofi, every gesture that seemed innocent to others, appeared to Jabari through the distorted lens of jealousy and suspicion. Compelled by a mix of fear and necessity, Jabari continued his surveillance, each day feeding the seeds of doubt that sprouted in his mind. He wrestled with his conscience, torn between confronting Laila and waiting to gather more evidence. The joy and laughter that once filled their home now sounded hollow to his ears, as if each chuckle mocked his pain. As days turned into weeks, Jabari's heart grew heavier. He missed the warmth of Laila's touch, the comfort of her presence, and the certainty of her love. The distance between them, once merely physical due to his travels, now felt emotional and vast, a chasm widened by silence and secrets. Determined to find the truth, Jabari steeled himself for whatever revelations lay ahead. He knew that the next time Kofi visited could bring everything into the open, forcing a confrontation that would either mend their lives or tear them apart completely. As he settled into the shadows of his lookout, Jabari prepared for the inevitable, his soul bracing for the impact of truth yet undiscovered, hoping against hope that his fears were unfounded and that his love and trust in Laila would be restored, the unseen observer. From the shadows of his concealed location, Jabari's gaze never wavered from the entrance of his home. Each visitor who passed through the doors seemed to add weight to the whispers that haunted him. The sun moved across the sky, casting long shadows that mirrored the growing darkness in Jabari's thoughts. As the days passed, Jabari observed a pattern. Each afternoon, as the marketplace buzzed with the peak of its activity, a figure often approached the house. This man, always cloaked in a flowing robe that masked his features, became the focus of Jabari's swirling suspicions. Unlike the other visitors who came with laughter and left with smiles, this man's arrivals and departures were shrouded in a quiet mystery that left Jabari's heart pounding with unease. Laila, ever the gracious host, seemed to treat this mysterious guest with a respect that Jabari found unsettling. Their meetings were held in the privacy of the library, a room filled with books on history and culture, the walls lined with artifacts from their travels, a sanctuary where Laila often retreated to find solace in her loneliness. With each of the man's visits, Jabari's imagination conjured scenarios that fueled his jealousy. Were their conversations innocent, or was there an undercurrent of something deeper, something personal? The man's identity and his frequent, discreet visits consumed Jabari, his mind a tempest of doubt and fear. One afternoon, driven by a mix of desperation and resolve, Jabari decided he could bear no more. As the mysterious visitor left the house, walking with a calm assurance, Jabari followed him. The streets of Azania were bustling, making it easy for Jabari to keep his distance yet maintain sight of the man as he navigated through the crowds. The pursuit led him away from the heart of the marketplace, down narrower lanes that twisted towards the quieter parts of the kingdom. Finally, the man entered a modest dwelling that stood alone, surrounded by the lush greenery that bordered the town. Jabari waited until the man disappeared inside before approaching cautiously, his heart pounding in his chest. Gathering his courage, Jabari knocked on the door. It swung open to reveal not the face of a secret lover, but that of an old scholar known to him, one whose reputation for wisdom and discretion was well regarded in the community. The room behind him was stacked with scrolls and books, the air thick with the scent of ink and old paper. The scholar, recognizing Jabari immediately, smiled warmly. "Oh, Jabari, what brings you to my humble abode?" His voice was calm, the tranquility in it stuck against the turmoil in Jabari's heart. Jabari's voice was tense as he replied, "I must know, why do you visit my house so often? What business do you have with my wife? The scholar's expression changed to one of understanding, and he gestured for Jabari to enter. Come, let us sit and talk. Once seated, the scholar began to explain. Your wife, Laila, is helping me with a project of great importance. We are compiling a history of Azania, a task she is uniquely qualified to assist with, given her knowledge and your family's extensive travels. He paused, his eyes studying Jabari's face. She mentioned you might have concerns, but rest assured, my visits are purely for the purpose of this endeavor. Laila speaks of you often, with great affection and respect. She is committed to your happiness and the welfare of Azania. The revelation hit Jabari like a wave, the relief mingling with a deep, crushing guilt. His suspicions, unfounded and corrosive, had threatened the trust between him and Laila. The scholar's words echoed in his mind, a reminder of the integrity and love that Laila had always shown. Leaving the scholar's home, Jabari felt the weight of his actions bearing down on him. He knew he needed to make amends, but first, he had to confront the damage his doubt had caused. The walk back home was the longest of his life, each step heavy with the realization of his mistake and the hope of forgiveness, the heart of misunderstanding. As Jabari approached his home, his mind raced with the information he had just uncovered. The mysterious visitor was indeed no stranger, nor a threat to his marriage, but Laila's cousin, Kofi, who had been working secretly with Laila to organize a grand surprise for Jabari's upcoming birthday. This revelation both relieved and overwhelmed him with guilt. The evening air was cool as Jabari paused outside his door, the familiar sounds of his home now carrying a different weight. He knew he had to face Laila, to confess his doubts and seek forgiveness, but the words seemed like boulders in his throat. With a deep breath, he pushed the door open and stepped inside. Laila was in the living room arranging a collection of artifacts and photographs that illustrated the rich history of their travels together. Her face lit up as she saw Jabari, but her smile faltered slightly at the sight of his somber expression. Jabari, you're home early, she said, her voice tinged with a mix of surprise and concern. Is everything all right? Jabari's heart ached at her words, her presence so full of warmth and sincerity. He moved closer, taking a moment to gather his thoughts. Laila, we need to talk, he began, his voice low. I have something important to confess. The room filled with a tense silence as Jabari recounted his actions, the doubts, the surveillance, and finally, the discovery of the truth about Kofi. Laila listened quietly, her expression unreadable, as Jabari spoke of his regret and the shame he felt for doubting her loyalty. When he finished, Laila's eyes were brimming with tears, not of anger, but of pain. Jabari, why didn't you trust me? She whispered, her voice breaking. Did you truly think so little of our love that you would believe these rumors? Jabari reached out, taking her hands in his. No, my heart, he replied earnestly, it was never about my faith in you, but rather my own insecurities. I let fear cloud my judgment, and for that I am deeply sorry. You have only ever given me reason to be proud and grateful for our life together. Laila nodded slowly, squeezing his hands as she processed his words. I understand your fears, Jabari, but trust is the foundation of our marriage. We must be able to talk to each other, to share our worries openly. Feeling the weight of her words, Jabari nodded. You're right, Laila. I've learned a painful but valuable lesson. I promise to be open with you, always. With a gentle smile, Laila leaned forward, resting her forehead against his. And I forgive you, Jabari, for even in darkness, our love must be the light that guides us back. They stood in silence for a moment, the air between them thick with the remnants of misunderstanding but lighter with forgiveness. Finally, Laila pulled back slightly, a mischievous twinkle returning to her eyes. Now, about your birthday, she began, her tone shifting to one of playful secrecy. I suppose the surprise is spoiled, but I hope you still enjoy what we have planned for you. Jabari laughed, the sound rich with relief and love. Laila, my joy comes not from the surprise itself but from knowing the love with which it was prepared. I am certain it will be a day to remember. With the heart of their misunderstanding cleared, Jabari and Laila began to rebuild their trust, stronger for the challenges they had overcome. As they moved forward, they did so with a renewed commitment to communication and honesty, the true pillars of their enduring love, confessions, and consequences. In the days following Jabari's confession, a fragile peace settled over their home. The air was thick with the effort of rebuilding trust, and both Jabari and Laila navigated their days with a newfound carefulness. Jabari, in particular, felt the constant weight of his past actions, determined to heal the wounds he had caused. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky with streaks of gold and purple, Jabari invited Laila to walk with him in their garden. The garden was a place of many shared memories, a space that now served as the backdrop for a crucial conversation, one that Jabari hoped would mend the lingering strains in their relationship. As they walked among the rows of fragrant flowers and towering trees, Jabari broke the silence. Laila, these past days have been some of the hardest in our marriage, he began, his voice steady but full of emotion. I've seen the pain my doubts caused you, and nothing I can say will undo that hurt. But I want you to know, from the depths of my heart, I am sorry. Truly, deeply sorry. Laila listened, her steps slow and thoughtful. The evening breeze lifted strands of her hair, which glinted in the fading light. Jabari, your apology means more to me than you can know, she said softly. And I forgive you because I believe in us. But we need to understand each other better. We need to share not just our joys but also our fears. Jabari nodded, feeling the truth of her words. You're right, he admitted. I should have come to you with my fears. I should have trusted in the strength of our bond. From now on, I promise to communicate openly, to share everything, even the doubts that might cloud my heart. Laila reached out, taking his hand in hers, their fingers intertwining naturally. And I will do the same, she assured him. We've both learned that assumptions and silence can create chasms too wide to easily cross. Let's promise to fill our days with words, with conversations that bridge gaps before they can ever form. They stopped walking, facing each other in the dim light. Jabari looked into Laila's eyes, seeing there not just the woman he loved but his partner, his equal, the one with whom he shared his life's journey. Laila, every day with you is a blessing. Let's not waste our precious moments on doubts. Let's fill them with love, understanding, and patience. Laila smiled, a genuine, warm smile that lit up her face. That sounds like a beautiful plan, Jabari. Her voice held a note of optimism, a belief in their future together. Let's begin again, right now. Let's rebuild not just trust but also the joy that brought us together. The couple embraced, holding each other close as the night settled around them. It was a moment of quiet strength, of two hearts recommitting to the path ahead, paved with open dialogue and mutual respect. They knew the road would not always be easy, but they also knew they would travel it together. As they walked back to the house, their steps were lighter, the air between them clearer. They had faced the consequences of misunderstanding, and through honesty and love, they had found their way back to each other. This recommitment to their relationship was more than just a promise, it was a profound acknowledgement of the lessons learned and the future they envisioned, filled with shared conversations under countless sunsets. Renewal and forgiveness. The days leading up to Jabari's birthday were filled with a flurry of activity and excitement, as both Jabari and Laila, along with the whole village of Azania, prepared for the grand celebration. This event was not only to mark another year of Jabari's life but had grown into a much more significant occasion, a renewal of their vows and a public affirmation of their strengthened bond. Laila took charge of the arrangements, her energy and creativity evident in every detail, from the colorful drapes that adorned the marketplace to the intricate patterns of flowers and lights that lined the pathways. Jabari, witnessing her dedication, felt his love and admiration for her deepen. He assisted wherever he could, often taking time to speak with the villagers, thanking them for their support and sharing his excitement for the upcoming festivities. The day of the celebration arrived, a perfect, cloudless day. The air was vibrant with the sounds of laughter and music. Artisans and traders displayed their wares, children ran playfully among the adults, and the aroma of delicious cooking filled the air. It was a true community event, reflecting the spirit of unity and joy that characterized Azania. As the sun began to set, casting a golden glow over the gathering, Jabari took his place beside Laila at the center of the village square. He looked out at the faces of their friends, neighbors, and family, all who had come to share in their joy, and felt a profound sense of gratitude. Clearing his throat, Jabari addressed the crowd, his voice strong yet filled with emotion. Today, as we celebrate this special day, I want to take a moment to honor the most important person in my life, my wife, Laila. He turned to look at her, his eyes shining with love. Laila, in front of our family, our friends, and all of Azania, I want to apologize for the doubts I held, for the pain I caused you. You are my heart, my partner, and my greatest supporter. Today, I vow, once again, to trust you, to honor you, and to share openly all my thoughts and feelings. The crowd listened in respectful silence, moved by the sincerity and depth of Jabari's words. Laila, tears glistening in her eyes, responded in a voice that carried throughout the square, "Jabari, your honesty and your love are more precious to me than anything. I forgive you, completely and utterly, and I recommit myself to our life together. May our future be one of openness, joy, and deep understanding." Together, they turned to face their community, hand in hand, and the villagers erupted into cheers and applause, their approval and support ringing loud and clear. To conclude the celebration, Jabari and Laila led the symbolic release of lanterns into the evening sky. Each lantern, crafted by the villagers, was decorated with symbols of Azania's culture and heritage. As the lanterns floated higher, their gentle light flickering against the darkening sky, they represented the letting go of past misunderstandings and the bright, hopeful light of the future. The night continued with feasting, dancing, and storytelling, a true testament to the love and resilience of Jabari and Laila's marriage. The community's participation not only in the celebration but also in their journey of forgiveness added a deeper layer of meaning to the event, weaving the individual threads of their stories into the rich tapestry of Azanian life. This day of renewal and forgiveness would long be remembered in Azania as a symbol of the power of love and trust to overcome all obstacles, a beacon of hope for every heart that yearned for understanding and connection. A future of unity. In the tranquil days that followed the grand celebration, Jabari and Laila found themselves in a renewed state of harmony. Their home, once shadowed by doubt, now basked in the light of understanding and mutual respect. The couple spent many evenings walking through the vibrant markets of Azania or along the serene paths by the river, discussing their dreams for the future. One such evening, as they strode under the vast African sky, they reflected on the tumultuous journey they had endured. Trust is not just given, it's built, moment by moment, choice by choice, Jabari mused, his voice thoughtful. Laila nodded, squeezing his hand gently. And honesty is the cornerstone of that trust. We've learned that hiding even a small part of our thoughts can lead to misunderstandings that grow larger than life. Their conversation turned to plans for the future. Jabari, inspired by the support of the village and the success of their celebration, proposed a new venture that would involve the community more directly. "I've been thinking about setting up a craft cooperative," he said, his eyes alight with enthusiasm. It could bring together the artisans of Azania, providing a space to collaborate and support each other, much like we support one another. Laila loved the idea, seeing it as a way to expand her own efforts with the Arts and Crafts Center. "And maybe we could organize cultural exchanges," she suggested excitedly. "We could invite artisans from other regions to share their skills and stories, blending them with ours." As they planned, their personal and professional lives intertwined beautifully, each supporting and enhancing the other. They decided to schedule regular trips together, whether for business or pleasure, ensuring that they always had time to connect and share experiences. As the sun began to set, casting a golden glow over the landscape, Jabari and Lila found a quiet spot overlooking the river. They watched in silence as the sky turned from blue to shades of orange, pink, and deep purple. In these moments of peaceful reflection, they felt a profound gratitude for their journey and for the lessons they had learned. Nearby, the village storyteller, an old man with a voice as smooth as the river itself, gathered a group of children around him. As he often did, he turned the couple's story into a lesson for the young listeners. In the tale of Jabari and Lila, he began, his eyes twinkling, "We see that even the strongest among us can falter, and that love, fortified by truth and understanding, can weather any storm. Remember, little ones," he continued, the children hanging on his every word, "that every heart sings a song incomplete, until another heart whispers back. Those who wish to sing always find a song. At the touch of a lover, everyone becomes a poet." Jabari and Lila, overhearing the storyteller, exchanged a knowing smile. Their story, with all its imperfections and triumphs, had become a part of the village's legacy, a testament to the power of forgiveness and the endless possibilities that come from truly sharing one's life with another. As the sun dipped below the horizon, leaving a streak of darkness in its wake, Jabari and Lila stood up, ready to walk back to their home, their hands clasped tightly, their hearts full. They walked slowly, savoring the calmness of the evening and the certainty that together, united by love and understanding, they could face whatever the future might bring.